Hi everyone. In this lesson, we are going to talk about one of the most powerful foundations of strong relationships, self-awareness and emotional intelligence. If relationships are like buildings, communication is the walls, trust is the roof, but self-awareness is the foundation. Without it, everything else becomes unstable. Let's go deep. What is self-awareness? Self-awareness is the ability to clearly recognize your emotions, your thoughts, your behavioral patterns, your triggers, your strengths and weaknesses, your values. It's answering questions like, why did I react that way? Why does criticism make me defensive? Why do I feel ignored in meetings? Why do I shut down during conflict? Self-awareness means observing yourself almost like a third person. Instead of saying, they made me angry, you begin to say, I felt angry when they interrupted me because I value respect. That shift is powerful. Example 1. At work. Imagine your colleague interrupts you during a presentation. An unconscious reaction. You snap back. Your tone becomes cold. You avoid them later. A self-aware reaction. You notice your heartbeat increasing. You realize you feel disrespected. You calmly say, I'd like to finish my point, and then I'll listen to you. See the difference? Self-awareness creates space between stimulus and response. What is emotional intelligence? The concept of emotional intelligence was popularized by Daniel Goleman. He defined it as the ability to recognize, understand, manage, and influence emotions, both your own and others. Emotional intelligence has 5 key components: self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, social skills. In strong relationships, whether romantic, professional, or friendships, emotional intelligence often matters more than IQ. You can be brilliant technically, but if you cannot manage emotions, relationships will suffer. The link between self-awareness and emotional intelligence. Self-awareness is the starting point. You cannot regulate emotions you don't recognize. You cannot empathize with others if you are disconnected from yourself. Think of it this way. Self-awareness equals, what am I feeling? Emotional intelligence equals, now what do I do with that feeling? Self-awareness in real relationship scenarios. Let's explore common situations. Scenario 1. Defensive partner. Your partner says, you've been distant lately. Without self-awareness, that's not true, you're overreacting. With self-awareness, you notice guilt. You realize work stress made you emotionally unavailable. You respond, you're right, I've been overwhelmed. I didn't mean to push you away. That moment builds connection instead of conflict. Scenario 2. Jealousy in relationships. You feel jealous when your partner talks to someone else. Without awareness, you become controlling. You accuse them. You create tension. With awareness, you recognize insecurity. You ask yourself, is this about them or my fear of not being enough? You communicate vulnerability instead of anger. That's emotional maturity. Scenario 3. Workplace feedback. Your manager says, your report needs improvement. Without emotional intelligence, you feel attacked. You withdraw. You complain to others. With emotional intelligence, you feel disappointment. You pause. You ask, could you help me understand where I can improve? Same situation, different outcome. Emotional triggers, the hidden relationship destroyers. We all have triggers, common triggers: feeling ignored, feeling disrespected, feeling criticized, feeling controlled, feeling abandoned. Self-aware individuals identify their triggers. For example, I react strongly when people raise their voice because in my childhood, loud voices meant danger. When you understand the origin of your reaction, you stop blaming others for activating it. That insight changes everything. Self-regulation, managing emotional reactions. Emotional intelligence doesn't mean suppressing emotions. It means managing them. For example, anger is not bad. Explosive anger damages relationships. Sadness is not weakness. Unexpressed sadness creates distance. An emotionally intelligent person says, I need 10 minutes before we continue this conversation. I feel hurt. Can we talk about it calmly? I'm frustrated, but I don't want to say something I'll regret. That pause is emotional power. Empathy, the relationship superpower. Empathy is the ability to understand another person's emotional world. It's not agreeing, it's not fixing, it's understanding. For example, instead of, "It's not a big deal," try, "I can see why that upset you." In the workplace, "I understand this deadline is stressful. Let's figure it out together." Empathy reduces defensiveness and increases trust. Social skills, turning emotional intelligence into action. Emotional intelligence becomes visible in active listening, calm conflict resolution, clear communication, respectful boundaries, constructive feedback. A socially skilled person doesn't interrupt, doesn't escalate tension, doesn't attack personality, focuses on behavior and solutions. Strong relationships require emotional safety. Emotional safety is created by emotionally intelligent behavior. Practical exercises to increase self-awareness. Let me give you some tools you can actually use. Daily emotional check-in. Ask yourself 3 times a day, what am I feeling? Why? What do I need? Trigger journal. When you overreact, write, what happened? What did I feel? What was I afraid of? Patterns will appear. Feedback reflection. When someone criticizes you, don't respond immediately. Ask, what part of this might be true? Growth begins there. Why this matters for work and life. In professional life, leaders with high emotional intelligence create high-performing teams. Employees with self-awareness grow faster. Conflicts are resolved constructively. In personal life, trust deepens. Conflicts reduce. Communication improves. Emotional intimacy increases. Strong relationships are not built by perfect people. They are built by self-aware people. Final thought for you. Let me leave you with this reflection. When something goes wrong in a relationship, most people ask, what did they do wrong? Emotionally intelligent people ask, what is this situation teaching me about myself? That shift transforms your work relationships, your friendships, your leadership style, and your romantic life. So here's your challenge for today. Notice one emotional reaction you usually justify and analyze it instead. Because the strongest relationships begin with the strongest relationship of all, the one you have with yourself. In this lesson, we're going to explore one of the most powerful and often invisible forces shaping every relationship in your life: values, beliefs, and relationship expectations. If you truly understand this topic, your relationships will change dramatically, at work, at home, with friends, and even with yourself. Let's go deep together. What are values? Values are your internal compass. They are the principles that guide your decisions, behaviors, and judgments. Values answer questions like, what really matters to me? What is non-negotiable in my life? What kind of person do I want to be? Examples of core values: honesty, loyalty, respect, freedom, family, achievement, stability, growth, kindness, fairness. Now here is something very important. Two people can love each other deeply, but if their core values conflict, the relationship will struggle. Example, work relationship. Imagine 2 business partners. One values stability and security. The other values risk-taking and innovation. One wants safe investments. The other wants bold expansion. Without awareness of these value differences, they will label each other as too conservative, too reckless. But the real issue is not personality, it's values. What are beliefs? Beliefs are the stories we tell ourselves about how the world works. They are shaped by family, culture, education, past experiences, successes, and traumas. Beliefs influence how we interpret behavior. For example, if I believe people cannot be trusted, then even neutral behavior feels suspicious. If I believe conflict is dangerous, then I avoid difficult conversations, even when they're necessary. Example, personal relationship. Let's say someone grew up in a home where love was shown through financial support. They may believe, if you love me, you provide for me. Another person grew up where love was shown through emotional closeness. They may believe, if you love me, you talk to me and spend time with me. Now imagine these 2 people together. One works long hours to provide. The other feels emotionally neglected. Both are trying to love, but their beliefs about love are different. This is where misunderstanding begins. Relationship expectations, the silent contracts. Now we come to something extremely powerful: expectations. Every relationship has expectations. The problem? Most of them are never spoken. I call them silent contracts. Examples: my partner should know what I need without me saying it. My manager should appreciate my effort. My team should be proactive. My friend should call me on my birthday. When expectations are met, we feel valued. When they are not met, we feel disappointed, angry, or hurt. But here is the key: unspoken expectations create unnecessary suffering. How values, beliefs, and expectations interact. Let's connect everything. Values shape your priorities. Beliefs shape your interpretations. Expectations shape your emotional reactions. Workplace example. Imagine a manager who values discipline, efficiency, structure, and an employee who values creativity, flexibility, autonomy. The manager believes good employees follow procedures. The employee believes good leaders trust their team. Now what happens? The manager micromanages. The employee feels controlled. Both feel misunderstood. The conflict is not about personality. It is about different values, different beliefs, different expectations. Cultural differences in values and beliefs. Let's not forget culture. In some cultures, collectivism and family loyalty are central values. In others, individual achievement and independence are prioritized. In some work environments, hierarchy is respected without question. In others, open debate with leaders is normal. If you work in global teams, this awareness becomes critical. Without it, you may think they are disrespectful, they are passive, they are arrogant, but often it's just different value systems. The danger of value misalignment. When core values are deeply misaligned, relationships suffer long-term. Romantic relationship example. One partner values adventure and spontaneity. The other values predictability and routine. At first, differences may feel exciting. Over time, they feel exhausting. If neither understands this difference, resentment builds. The solution is not always separation. The solution begins with awareness, respect, negotiation. Self-awareness, the first step to strong relationships. Before understanding others, you must understand yourself. Ask yourself, what are my top 5 values? What do I believe about love, leadership, loyalty, success? What do I expect from people close to me? Which of my expectations have I never expressed? Many relationship problems are not caused by others. They are caused by unclear values, rigid beliefs, uncommunicated expectations. How to align expectations. Here are practical steps you can apply immediately. Make the invisible visible. Say things clearly. Instead of, you should know, say, it's important for me that. Ask about their values. In work settings, ask, what matters most to you in this project? How do you define success? In personal life, what makes you feel appreciated? What does commitment mean to you? These questions prevent years of misunderstanding. Challenge limiting beliefs. Some beliefs protect us, some sabotage us. For example, if I ask for what I need, I look weak. That belief damages relationships. Healthy belief. Clear communication builds respect. Real growth happens here. Strong relationships are not built by luck. They are built by awareness of values, understanding beliefs, clarifying expectations, communicating openly. When you understand this framework, you stop taking everything personally. You start asking, is this a value difference? Is this a belief conflict? Or is this an unspoken expectation? And that question alone changes everything. Final reflection for you. My dear friends, think about one relationship in your life that feels difficult. Now ask yourself, are our values aligned? Do we have conflicting beliefs? Have I clearly expressed my expectations? When you start reflecting at this level, you stop reacting emotionally and start responding consciously. And that is the foundation of strong relationships, both in work and in life. In this lesson, we're going to explore one of the most powerful concepts in understanding relationships: attachment styles. If you truly want to build strong relationships in work and life, you must understand not only what you do in relationships, but why you do it. And attachment theory gives us that deep psychological insight. This theory was originally developed by John Bowlby and later expanded through research by Mary Ainsworth. Their work showed that our early bonding experiences shape how we connect with others as adults, especially in close relationships. Today, we'll focus on three main attachment styles: secure, anxious, avoidant. As we go through each one, I want you to think about yourself, not to judge, but to understand, because awareness is the first step toward growth. Secure attachment. Let's start with the healthy baseline. A person with a secure attachment style feels comfortable with intimacy and independence. They trust others, but they also trust themselves. What does this look like? In romantic relationships, they can express love openly. They don't panic if their partner needs space. They communicate clearly when something bothers them. In friendships, they don't overthink delayed messages. They assume good intentions. They resolve conflicts calmly. In the workplace, they collaborate well. They accept feedback without feeling attacked. They don't see every disagreement as rejection. Example: imagine Sarah. Her partner doesn't reply to her message for several hours. Her reaction? She's probably busy. I'll talk to her later. No drama, no anxiety spiral. Or at work, her manager says, "We need to improve your presentation skills." Instead of thinking, "I'm terrible, they regret hiring me," she thinks, "Okay, what can I improve?" Secure attachment doesn't mean perfection. It means emotional balance. Anxious attachment. Now let's talk about anxious attachment. This style is characterized by a strong desire for closeness, but also a deep fear of rejection. People with anxious attachment often overthink small signals, seek reassurance frequently, feel insecure if communication changes. Underneath all of this is one fear: will you leave me? In romantic relationships, if a partner says, "I need some space tonight," an anxiously attached person may think, "They're pulling away. They don't love me anymore. I did something wrong," even if nothing is actually wrong. In friendships, if a friend cancels plans, they may think, "They don't value me. I'm not important." In the workplace, if their boss doesn't greet them warmly one morning, "Did I mess something up? Are they unhappy with me?" You see the pattern? The emotional system is constantly scanning for signs of abandonment. Example: let's say Alex sends a message, "Are we okay?" But nothing bad has happened. This is reassurance-seeking behavior. It's an attempt to calm internal anxiety. The problem? It can sometimes overwhelm others and create the very distance they fear. But here's the key: anxious attachment is not weakness. It usually comes from inconsistent emotional experiences in early life. And the beautiful part? It can change. Avoidant attachment. Now we move to avoidant attachment. If anxious attachment fears abandonment, avoidant attachment fears dependence. Avoidant individuals value independence strongly, sometimes to the point of emotional distance. They may struggle to express vulnerability, feel uncomfortable with too much closeness, pull away when relationships deepen. In romantic relationships, when a partner says, "I feel very connected to you," an avoidant person might feel pressure. They may respond by changing the topic, becoming less responsive, creating emotional distance, not because they don't care, but because closeness triggers discomfort. In friendships, they may prefer surface-level conversations. Deep emotional sharing feels unsafe. In the workplace, they may avoid teamwork, resist asking for help, handle stress alone. Example: imagine Daniel. His partner says, "I'd love to talk about where this relationship is going." Daniel suddenly works late all week. Is he bad? No. His nervous system associates intimacy with loss of independence. Avoidant attachment often develops when emotional needs were dismissed in childhood. So the person learned, "If I rely on others, I'll be disappointed." So they rely only on themselves. The anxious avoidant trap. Now here's something fascinating. Anxious and avoidant individuals are often attracted to each other. Why? Because the anxious partner pursues closeness. The avoidant partner withdraws. The more one pushes, the more the other pulls away. This creates a painful cycle. One feels neglected, the other feels suffocated, and both feel misunderstood. Have you ever been in this dynamic? If yes, now you understand it better. Can attachment styles change? This is the most important part of this lesson. Attachment styles are patterns, not life sentences. With self-awareness, emotional regulation, communication skills, healthy relationship experiences, you can move towards secure attachment. For example, an anxiously attached person can practice self-soothing instead of reassurance seeking, direct communication instead of testing behavior. An avoidant person can practice expressing small vulnerabilities, staying present during emotional conversations. Security is built through repeated safe experiences. Reflection exercise for you. I want you to reflect on these questions. When someone pulls away, what is your automatic reaction? Do you fear being abandoned or losing independence? How do you handle emotional conflict? Do you communicate directly or withdraw? Be honest. This is for your growth. Final thought. Strong relationships in work and life are not built only on communication techniques. They are built on emotional safety. And emotional safety begins with understanding your attachment style. When you understand your patterns, you stop blaming others blindly. You stop blaming yourself harshly. You start responding instead of reacting. And that, my dear students, is where mature, strong relationships begin. In this lesson, we are going to talk about one of the most transformative topics in building strong relationships, both at work and in life: strengths and weaknesses in relationships. If you truly understand this topic, your relationships will never be the same again. Let's start with something important. Every relationship has strengths. Every relationship has weaknesses. The difference between healthy and unhealthy relationships is not the absence of weaknesses, it's how they are managed. What are strengths in a relationship? Strengths are the qualities, behaviors, and patterns that make a relationship stable, supportive, and resilient. Think of strengths as the muscles of your relationship. They help you solve conflicts, overcome stress, stay connected during difficult times, trust each other deeply. Common relationship strengths. Here are some powerful strengths you'll often see: open communication, mutual respect, emotional support, trust, shared values, accountability, empathy. Let's make this real with examples. Example 1. Workplace strength. Imagine two colleagues working on a project. One says, "I think we're behind schedule. What do you think?" The other replies, "You're right. Let's review our priorities together." That's not just communication, that's psychological safety. They can speak honestly without fear. This kind of strength increases productivity, reduces stress, and improves collaboration. Now compare that to a team where people are afraid to speak up. Silence becomes a weakness. Mistakes multiply. Example 2. Personal relationship strength. Let's say a couple has an argument. Instead of saying, "You always do this," one partner says, "When this happens, I feel ignored." That's emotional maturity. That's a strength. They are attacking the problem, not each other. This reminds me of something often associated with Stephen Covey, who emphasized focusing on principles like understanding before being understood. Relationships thrive when we seek understanding first. What are weaknesses in a relationship? Weaknesses are patterns that damage trust, create distance, or cause emotional exhaustion. And here's the important part. Weaknesses are not bad people. They are bad patterns. Common weaknesses include poor communication, avoidance of conflict, lack of accountability, passive-aggressive behavior, emotional manipulation, excessive criticism, lack of boundaries. Let's look at examples. Example 3. Avoidance as a weakness. At work, a manager avoids difficult conversations. A team member consistently underperforms, but the manager says nothing. Short-term result? No discomfort. Long-term result? Resentment, unfair workload distribution, low morale. Avoidance feels peaceful, but it slowly destroys trust. Example 4. Personal relationship weakness. Imagine someone who shuts down emotionally during conflict. Whenever there's tension, they say, "Whatever." That one word can create emotional distance for years. This behavior is sometimes discussed in relationship research, like that of John Gottman, who identified patterns such as stonewalling as predictors of relational breakdown. Weaknesses become dangerous when they turn into habits. The hidden truth. Strengths can become weaknesses. This is where it gets interesting. Sometimes what looks like a strength can turn into a weakness. Example 5. Loyalty. Loyalty is a strength, but blind loyalty? That can become enabling toxic behavior. Example 6. Independence. Independence is powerful, but extreme independence? It may prevent vulnerability and emotional connection. So always ask, is this strength balanced? Healthy relationships are about balance, not extremes. Self-awareness, the core of everything. You cannot improve a relationship if you don't know your own strengths and weaknesses. Let me ask you, are you defensive? Do you interrupt? Do you assume instead of ask? Do you overreact? Do you avoid uncomfortable conversations? Now also ask, are you a good listener? Are you dependable? Do you stay calm under pressure? Do people feel safe around you? This connects deeply with emotional intelligence principles popularized by thinkers like Daniel Goleman, who highlighted self-awareness as the foundation of healthy interaction. Without self-awareness, improvement is impossible. Turning weaknesses into growth areas. Here's something I tell all my students. Weaknesses are not your identity, they are development opportunities. For example, if you struggle with conflict, practice structured dialogue. If you interrupt, practice reflective listening. If you avoid feedback, start asking, what is one thing I can improve? Small habits create big relational shifts. Strength plus repair equals resilience. Strong relationships are not those without conflict. They are those with strong repair mechanisms. When something breaks, do you apologize? Do you take responsibility? Do you try to understand? Do you reconnect intentionally? Repair is more powerful than perfection. In fact, research consistently shows that the ability to repair after conflict is one of the strongest predictors of long-term relational success. Practical exercise for you. I want you to pause and write 3 strengths you bring to relationships, 3 weaknesses you need to work on, 1 concrete action you will take this week. Maybe, I will listen without interrupting. I will have that difficult conversation. I will express appreciation daily. Growth begins with honesty. Final thought. Strong relationships in work and life are not built on talent. They are built on awareness, intentional behavior, and continuous improvement. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be willing. In this course, we are not just learning theory. We are upgrading how we connect with people. And that, my dear students, will transform not only your relationships, but your career, your leadership, and your personal happiness. In this lesson, we are going to talk about something that sits at the core of every strong connection you will ever build. Building a healthy relationship mindset. Before communication techniques, before conflict resolution strategies, before emotional intelligence tools, there is mindset. Because relationships don't fail first in behavior, they fail in thinking. Let's explore what a healthy relationship mindset truly means and how you can build it intentionally. What is a relationship mindset? A relationship mindset is the set of beliefs, assumptions, and internal rules you carry about trust, communication, conflict, commitment, vulnerability, responsibility. It answers questions like, are people trustworthy? Is conflict dangerous or normal? Should I protect myself or open up? Do relationships require effort? For example, 2 managers face the same situation. A team member makes a mistake. Manager A thinks, people are careless. I need to control everything. Manager B thinks, mistakes are part of growth. Let's learn from this. Same situation, different mindset. Completely different relationship outcome. Your mindset shapes your reactions, and your reactions shape your relationships. Fixed versus growth relationship thinking. Psychologist Carol Dweck introduced the concept of a growth mindset in learning. The same principle applies to relationships. Fixed relationship mindset. People don't change. If we argue, it means we're incompatible. If they disappoint me once, I'm done. If I open up, I'll get hurt. Growth relationship mindset. We can improve how we relate. Conflict can strengthen understanding. Trust builds over time. Discomfort is part of intimacy. Let me give you an example from the workplace. Two co-founders disagree on strategy. One thinks, we're too different. This partnership won't work. The other thinks, this disagreement shows we care. Let's explore both perspectives. One mindset creates distance. The other creates collaboration. Which one do you want to carry? Shifting from blame to responsibility. A healthy relationship mindset is not about blaming. It's about ownership. Unhealthy mindset. They always misunderstand me. They never listen. It's their fault we argue. Healthy mindset. What part am I contributing? Did I communicate clearly? What assumption am I making? Imagine a couple arguing. Person A, you never support me. Person B, that's not true. Escalation begins. But what if person A says, when I didn't hear feedback from you, I felt unsupported. Can we talk about that? Notice the difference? Healthy mindset shifts from accusation to curiosity. Seeing conflict as data, not danger. Many people grow up believing conflict means rejection, but healthy relationships understand conflict equals information. When tension appears, it usually reveals unmet expectations, misaligned values, unclear communication, hidden fears. In business, companies use feedback to improve products. Why don't we use conflict to improve relationships? A team member challenges your idea in a meeting. Unhealthy mindset. They're attacking me. Healthy mindset. What are they seeing that I might be missing? Conflict handled correctly deepens trust. Emotional regulation as a core skill. You cannot build healthy relationships if your emotions control you. Think of emotional regulation as the foundation. Psychologist Daniel Goleman popularized emotional intelligence, and one of its core pillars is self-regulation. Example, your partner forgets something important. Your colleague misses a deadline. Impulse reaction, anger, sarcasm, withdrawal. Healthy mindset reaction, pause, clarify, respond intentionally. A powerful internal question, what outcome do I want from this interaction? If your goal is connection, your response will look different than if your goal is being right. Moving from control to influence. Unhealthy mindset tries to control. They should think like me. They must change. If they loved me, they would. Healthy mindset understands. You cannot control people. You can influence through clarity, consistency, and empathy. In leadership, this is critical. An insecure leader demands loyalty. A secure leader builds it. A healthy mindset says, I will become someone worth trusting, and that changes everything. Boundaries, the missing ingredient. Healthy mindset does not mean being passive, tolerating disrespect, avoiding hard conversations. It means balancing empathy with boundaries. Example, a friend repeatedly cancels plans last minute. Unhealthy response, silent resentment, sudden emotional explosion, cutting them off completely. Healthy mindset, I value our time together. When plans are canceled last minute, it affects me. Can we be more consistent? Healthy relationships are not built on tolerance. They are built on clarity. Scarcity versus abundance thinking. Scarcity mindset. If I lose this person, I'll be alone. I must tolerate everything. Good partners are rare. Abundance mindset. I deserve respect. There are many opportunities for connection. I choose relationships that align with my values. Scarcity creates dependency. Abundance creates dignity. In work life, this shows up too. An employee with scarcity mindset accepts toxic behavior, avoids necessary conversations. An employee with healthy mindset communicates expectations, seeks mutual respect. Self-awareness, the core of everything. Healthy relationship mindset begins with knowing yourself. Ask yourself, what triggers me? What scares me in relationships? Do I avoid closeness? Do I fear abandonment? Do I overgive to be liked? Many of our reactions are not about the present. They are about the past. But growth begins when awareness replaces autopilot. The practical framework, 5 daily practices. Let's make this actionable. Here are 5 daily mindset shifts you can practice. Replace judgment with curiosity. Replace blame with ownership. Replace reaction with pause. Replace control with influence. Replace fear with clarity. Write these somewhere visible. Practice them in meetings. Practice them at home. Practice them in small disagreements. Mindset is not built in theory, it is built in repetition. Final reflection for you. A healthy relationship mindset is not about being perfect. It's about being intentional. You will still get triggered. You will still misunderstand. You will still argue. But the difference is this. You will choose growth over ego, connection over control, understanding over winning. And that choice, repeated over time, creates strong relationships, both in work and in life.